Hi, I'm Betsy, and this is CAM Matters. Today we're going to be talking about the different communication styles and what it takes to be a manager, and we're also going to touch on ethics and insurance. Come join us.
Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy Barbieux is an informational leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
Hello and welcome to CAM Matters. I'm Suzanne Lynn with Betsy Barbieux, and we're continuing with the last show that we did on managers because it's so encompassing. There's so much to know. And Betsy, the thing that's really exciting for this show is that you are a human behavioral specialist. So
Don't get me started.
Oh my gosh, I love personality stuff, the Enneagram, the DISC, and everything. While we're talking about managers, what would be a good personality for someone who's watching going, I don't know if I have the makeup for it? What are we looking for?
Goodness. Well, let's see. You want me to go back about 20 years to give you an answer? No. And actually, the communication styles, I am a certified behavior specialist, advanced behavior specialist, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And I have been certified for a little bit more than 20 years.
Okay.
And can offer the DISC. We use the DISC program, the DISC.
Okay.
And it's DISC. So
and what's that mean?
It identifies the different parts of your brain that help you make decisions.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
The left front part of your brain is we call it the dominant part. It's the dominant, direct, determined, demanding, decisive, doer part of your brain. Let's get to it.
Okay.
And the front right part of your brain, we call it the I, is like a capital I, is the influencing, inducing, interactive, impressive, interesting, and interested in people part.
Wow.
And that is the natural-born salesperson.
Okay.
They typically have a yes face, and there isn't anybody that they haven't met or haven't been somewhere where, they can connect in 2 seconds with people. The back right part of the brain, we call that the S part of the brain, the supportive. This is our steady, stable, supportive, sensitive, sweet, and shy person until they get to know you. and then the back left part of the brain, we call that the C, the critical analyst.
Okay.
So this is our cautious, calculating, competent, compliant, critical analyst, careful part of the brain.
That sounds like a good strength to have in management.
Well, actually, any of the four.
Okay.
And when you profile yourself, and what I have are self-profiles, it's not counseling.
Right.
I'm not therapeutic.
Right.
I'm not a clinician.
There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong. And
right.
my point of view is looking at what is right about you and strengthening that.
Okay.
In clinical, it's looking at what's wrong and trying to fix it.
Okay,
I'm not looking at what's wrong.
Sure.
I'm looking at what's right about you, and then let's emphasize the good parts of what's right about you.
And maybe get education for the parts that you're not.
And there will be weaknesses, and there could be some strengthening of those weaknesses, but what I would rather see is that you partner with someone and make sure that your staff, your board, the people, your network has different communication styles, strengths, and they feel
that
your
makes
need.
so much sense. I love how positive you are all the time.
You can't be it all.
Right.
I guess there's some people who think they can.
Sure, right.
You can't be 100% perfect.
Right.
I think the only one who used all four parts of his brain perfectly was Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's not us.
Right.
And I do have classes
we need
based
to end
on
the show
Scripture,
right
too.
there.
I do have classes based on Scripture for those who are interested in the biblical point of view. But for the regular world, I don't have to make that comparison. But we don't all use our brains perfectly. So it would, to me, seem logical and beneficial to know which part of your brain, or two parts. Sometimes we're stronger in two parts, sometimes one, never really all four.
All four, right. Sure.
but to know what your strength is and then play to your strengths. I mean, I think
Well, that's
we do
good
that
just in life.
Don't you do that in sports or whatever else that you do? If you're good at doing this is what you should do.
Sure.
So putting together a team, whether it's a management team, whether it's a board of directors. I love working with boards of directors and doing a private class for them because if they'll let me, we'll profile them. And then they can actually see on paper that they are going to make different, or they might make the same decision, but it's coming from a different point of view.
Absolutely.
The D on the board or in your management staff is let's get it done.
The dominant.
That's dominant person. Move. Let's get it done. And they have a very high tolerance for risk, which means if it's wrong, they just go, oh, well, we'll fix it.
Right.
Which terrifies the rest of the people on the management team or on the board. It terrifies them. Let's do it right the first time. What are you doing? The front right brain, the I person, is going to come at it from a populist point of view. What is going to keep the unity? What is going to keep the esprit de corps? What is going to keep everybody liking me and us?
What's the I stand for again?
Influencing, inducing, interactive, impressive, interesting, and interested in people. Never met a stranger. This is my son.
Okay. Adam?
This is my son. Yeah. This is my son. So this part of the brain, I see them in management as being the business development directors. They're the ones who work for the management companies or the attorney's offices or the CPA offices that are out there developing business. Because they're
relationships?
Relationships. They're the salespeople.
Yeah.
They're the salespeople. So they're the ones who make real good business development directors. I can think of Mark and Mary. Shout out to you.
There you go.
They're great business development people. The S is our steady, stable, supportive, sensitive, sweet, and shy. This is the back office person who might be, they like probably working on site instead of being a portfolio manager and having 20 or 10 properties to take care of. They like going to one place. They like a routine. They like their desk. They love their people. And so they make really good on site. And I have a lot of manager friends who are that S, and they tried doing the portfolio, which is actually going to be your front brain, who can do the hit and run and move a lot, move around a lot. They actually are better at the portfolio management. But this S likes their people, and they just are devoted to their communities. I have a lot of manager friends that are that. And then the C, the critical analyst, this is really who you want as your attorney. You want it as your financial person, because this is the one that it has to balance to the penny. There's no general journal entries to make things work. They're the ones on your board. They're the owners in your community who will know the documents. Remember all of these contractual things? They know the documents. They know the statutes. They're still in today's day. They're still paper driven. They like paper. They'll probably print out their email. But here are the percentages. In a general sampling of community association managers, and back 20 years ago, I profiled about 1,500 managers within a 2-year period. And the percentages actually are the same that bear out in a general sampling of the population. There are 10% managers that are D in a general sampling of the population, or in my 1,500 that I sampled. 10% were the Ds. There were 25% that were the Is. I'm sorry. Well, I'll get it right in a minute. 30% that are the Is, and 25. I'm not going to get it right here. I got to get a percentage. 10, 30, 35, and 25. I'll get it. 10% are Ds. 30% are the Is. The biggest segment is 35%.
DIS. So the S.
The S is the 35%, and then 25%. for the Cs. So it doesn't, there's not like one communication style that's the best.
Right.
Any of them can fit in any part of management. You just need to know what your strengths are and which part do you fit in better. Also, communities have personalities. There are communities that have that are very aggressive, dominant, progressive communities. We would see a lot of those in our Communities of Excellence Awards ceremonies and things when we used to have those. Very progressive, very forward-thinking, innovative. And it's like, how can you be innovative in a community association? Well,
Sure. They found a way. Yeah.
And then there are some that are party communities.
Now, what are the addresses of those?
It's funny because managers will say that they might have a condominium complex of 7 condominium towers.
Yeah.
And all of the front right brain people move into Tower 2. This is the party tower. They're always going to the theater. They're always going on cruises. They're always having potlucks and always doing things. They find each other.
That's so fun. I think it's so important to know the personality, though, and especially when you're thinking about management as a career, to know that you don't have to be one of those. You just need to be in the right seat.
You just need to know what your strengths are. And when you go for that job interview, then you need to take charge of part of that job interview and say, this is what I have to offer. These are my strengths. Instead of it being a one-way conversation, being interviewed, you need to say, these are the adjectives that describe me.
Right.
And if you can say, I'm steady, stable, supportive, that this is my communication style.
Do I fit in? Right. We've got a lot to cover. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, Community Association Management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
Welcome back to CAM Matters. We're talking about managers and their roles and personalities, and we have so much more we can cover. We're a little short on time.
Oh, you got me going. I can go forever talking about communication styles, but we probably need to
move on. So now we've talked about the different personalities and the different regions of the brain that causes us our strengths and our weaknesses. While we're talking about little weaknesses, let's talk about ethics and how this plays a role with managers.
And managers do have ethical standards that they have to adhere to. They're to be loyal, diligent, honest, don't promise to do something that you can't do, and we're not allowed to give legal advice, even though pretty much every day of our life we're giving legal advice. I don't know how else to do the job, but when in doubt, consult your attorney. But the ethics for managers often has to do with records. And this would also be ethics for board members. Records, the record keeping is a big deal. It is a really big deal. And if you kind of go back to something we've said earlier, this is a fiduciary relationship. We are managing, and the board is managing assets that other people have an interest in, and mainly your home. The records then are theirs. So they have access to all of the records. Now, there's a list. You'll probably find that list. There's a list of things that owners cannot see, but that list is short. Otherwise, we are under timelines, time frame for a records request. So if an owner makes a request for a record,
legally,
then we are to provide it. And it's to be provided within 10 days, 10 business days of a written request. Now, boards and management companies will have to decide what their policy is as to what written is. probably back when the law was written. Written meant paper.
Written, right?
Meant paper.
Pen and paper.
Does written now mean email or text? So you'll have to develop a policy for that.
So there are standards that they've got to go by.
And there are penalties for not producing records within a reasonable time. If you don't produce the records within the 10 business days, an owner can proceed to basically sue the board or the manager. They go through, depending whether you are a condominium or co-op, you would go through arbitration to get those records, or if you're an HOA, it would be mediation. These are court proceedings. This is going to cost somebody money who loses.
Along those lines, can we talk about insurance?
Yes, yes. Let me just say one more thing.
Please
Don't get caught doing bad stuff with records. It's not worth it. If you don't think that you are supposed to let an owner see a record, consult your attorney and get it in writing that the attorney says do not release those records. Now, on insurance, I get the question often, do managers have to have E&O, errors and omissions insurance or something like that? No, you do not. We are covered under should be 2 policies that the board should have. And Suzanne, I cannot tell you how many communities I've come across lately that do not have all the insurance that they're supposed to have.
No kidding.
And that makes me really, really mad.
Sure.
Because that means you're dealing with insurance companies who do not know our industry.
Wow.
You need to be dealing with an insurance company that knows your industry. Oh, get me mad on that.
Oh, I know. I've never seen you like this.
That just, lately I've come across 2. And this is unexcusable.
Well, this is vitally important
unexcusable. The communities should have, if you have buildings and grounds, and some communities don't, they don't have a clubhouse, don't own the roads, don't have anything. But you should have property and casualty insurance. Years ago, it was called hazard insurance, but it's property and casualty. You should have general liability. And it's also inside your general liability that you probably also have EPLI, Employment Practices Liability Insurance, so that if you get sued by an employee for hostile work environment, that's another one we could talk about.
We could do a whole show on that.
That covers that. You need to have the workers' comp insurance for, even if you don't have any employees, you need non-employees workers' comp. You need the crime policy. It's also called the fidelity bond or the insurance bond that covers anybody who writes checks. Anyone who disperses money, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and the manager. See, that should cover the manager. And director and officer liability insurance. So that when the directors get sued for a decision that they made, if they made decisions correctly, then this will cover them. If they violated their fiduciary duty and willfully disregarded human safety, property, and all of that, their D&O insurance will not cover them.
There's so much to know.
So there are 5 policies. Managers should be covered, and you need to be sure because there's a little box that needs to be checked. But the managers need to be covered under the crime policy and the directors and officers.
If people have questions about this, how can they contact you?
Betsy at floridacamschools.com.
Okay. Great show. We could keep going. I think we maybe need to do a 3rd segment to this. Lots to know about managers. It's an important role.
It's a big job and a big, huge industry. And yes, Frank, it is an industry.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.